Happy Sunday, you lovely people, and am I excited to be sharing with you someone different today. He's amazing. He calls himself the Himbo Popstar. He's an amazing pop star. His music is completely poptastic, and you're going to meet him at Kid Souf in a wee while. But first, we're going to go and listen to one of his tracks and watch a video. This is called, well, in English, it would be called, well, I guess he would call it tomato potato. We would probably say tomato potato or tomato potato, which doesn't sound quite the same. But anyway, whatever it is, you're going to listen to it now. This is Kid Souf.
For this conversation, can we talk about a situation? Can we talk? Can we talk? I got my head on nice flowers on the table. Love you good as I was able. Can we talk? Can we talk? Now I don't wanna be rude. That's why I try tonight. What you said when we slept apart in a single bed. Can we talk? Can we talk? I racked my brain and I sang the blues, and I put on my good walking shoes. Can we talk? Can we just fucking talk already? No, I don't wanna be rude. That's why I try tonight.
Wow, super cool. Let's go and meet the man behind the music, the amazing Kid Souf, this week's special guest. Kid Souf. I love saying that. It makes me want to be more London-y. Kid Souf, welcome to the Jaden show.
South London, mate.
South London, innit? Well, where are you from originally?
I'm from Philadelphia, so it's South Philly is really what it's from.
Okay, but
no
you
one says like
South London really like a Londoner then?
Yeah.
That was really good accent. I'm super impressed. How are you doing? How's things going at the moment for you?
I'm pretty okay. You know, I'm just up here in my, like, I have a little studio space here in my house, and so I've been just working away.
Lovely. So tell me, we're going to go and talk about your music and your EP at the moment, but I want to take you back to little baby Souf, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to find out, like, how did you get into the music industry when you were a just a mere listener, darling, what were you listening to? Like, who were your inspirations when you were a kid? Family's influence, all that kind of thing. Tell me all about it.
So growing up, I grew up in a cult, and so we didn't really have a ton of music influences that interested me. It was all like Christian music and kind of stuff like that. And so, but just before that, I guess I was like 7 years old when we entered into that. So just before that, we used to do like pancakes on Sunday mornings, and that was always like Stevie Wonder and like classic American funk music, and soul and stuff. So that, I guess, is like kind of where I get a lot of the influence with my music. Growing up, is anything that can kind of make me like get into the beat a little bit more. And then as I grew up, like I started to, my dad kind of was like the one that gave me like a, nudge on the shoulder, like, okay, this cult music, you're 12 years old, you can kind of handle this now. And I used to, before that, steal my parents' Bruce Springsteen CDs. Okay. And so it's like Stevie Wonder, Bruce Springsteen, and then like Boston and Kiss. That's what my dad kind of turned me on to. Then in high school, more like the pop girl. So Gaga, Britney, that kind of stuff.
Amazing.
So I think it's like a combo of all of that. It's classic songwriting over a 2010s kind of dance pop beat.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So when you said that, this whole cult thing, and it was just kind of Christian-based music, what were the kind of artists that were kind of prevalent in that particular part of your life?
I wish I could tell you.
Really? I mean,
I didn't care about it. You know what? I do remember one of the songs. There was one song that was called Phenomenon, I think. It's one Phenomenon, and I loved that song. That was like the only one that
I've got to search for that later. I mean, was it kind of like your Christian, as in Amy Grant, the Winans, like gospel stuff, or was it kind of real?
It was more like
real cultish kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had like kneelers in the house and would have to like kneel and pray the rosary like twice a day, kind of thing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was no fun, but now we're making up for it as adults and having a good old time.
And now, become that.
That's actually how I came up with my name. Was
Himbo Popstar now?
Yeah. I got to find my childhood in South Philly, so I became Kid Souf.
Sweet, I'm really liking that. So I mean, you've left the cult. You're doing your own thing. You're getting into kind of pop music as well as the things that your family into. Did your whole family leave the cult, or just you?
They're all pretty much out of it. My mom still is very religious, and that's, her thing. But when I left, the way I left was like my parents kind of posed me with the option of you're able to go to high school in the cult, because I said I was not doing that, or you can go to Catholic school outside. You can't go to public school. You can only go to Catholic school outside, but you have to pay for it yourself. And so I worked a bunch of jobs, odd jobs, doing whatever, some things legal, some things not so much. And I was like 14. And then worked my way through high school. While I was doing that, I was telling my sisters all about like the things that I was experiencing in like a regular Catholic school. And so they really wanted to do it. So my parents let them go to the sister school for the all boys school that I went to. And that's kind of how we all got out, because we all were like, Mom, Dad, you're a little crazy. Like, this is actually the way that the world works. And then they started to distance themselves a little bit as well.
Were they supportive of the choices that you'd made, or was it kind of like, everyone else has left, maybe it's time for us to? And especially about your choice for doing music and kind of going back and listening to the people that you like to listen to and stuff like that. Was it okay for you to do that, or did that come up against quite a few barriers?
It came up against a lot of barriers, especially when like we were still involved in the community of the cult. So even when I had left, like there was like my sisters were still in it, like they're younger than me. So they were still in it. My parents were still in it. And, like listening to, let's say, like Gaga, that came up actually while I was still in the cult. There was a whole issue about that. They had people coming into the house to pray over top of me, to pray the devil away.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I was in a Pentecostal assembly out of my choice.
Oh, okay. So you understand it.
Yeah, when I was younger. And we only were allowed to listen to non-secular music, but there were some fucking amazing artists like Amy Grant, BBC Wine, and Whitney Houston doing her gospel stuff, not doing her other stuff.
Of course.
And I remember I was in, because obviously I'm way older than you. I was really into like Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson, and I remember washing up one day listening to Rhythm Nation, because that was like the coolest Janet Jackson album.
Mhm.
And I accidentally, I went to put the washing up bowl on the side of the kitchen, and it fell off, and I crushed a glass in my hand and cut all the way through my bone to all my tendons. And I believed 1,000,000% that was my punishment for quickly listening to "I Miss You Much, I Really Miss You."
No.
I was like, shit. I'd go speak to my youth pastor and say, I'm really sorry. I listened to Janet on Thursday, and then this is what happened.
Sliced my finger.
I nearly lost my thumb. It's like, well, you didn't do what we asked. So I kind of get the whole thing, but that was purely out of my choice. So,
Of course.
and it was amazing. I've got to be honest, like looking back, it was probably quite abusive on many psychological levels. However, it did give me really firm foundations about who I am as a person, spirituality, but also about my values and what I expect out of my life. So I don't think, it was all bad. And now I still listen to I still listen to Amy Grant. I still listen to my gospel. I still listen to everything, but just with a different set of ears and eyes now, I think.
Absolutely. I'm kind of glad it wasn't like good Christian music like you're talking about, like gospel, because otherwise I don't know if I would have left,
Yeah, true that. Yeah, exactly. I might have just kept you in there. I actually moved to Canada in the 90s because I wanted to be like a male Amy Grant singing kind of Christian pop and be signed to Sparrow Music. That was always my dream.
I love that.
Back in the day, but obviously I didn't. So I moved back to England. And,
Lovely.
just done nothing really. It was wonderful, but no, I still do. In fact, it's funny as well. Like I still sing. Like even when I do my shows, sometimes I go back to the kind of the gospel and the Christian. I'm not Christian, but on any means, I don't. I'm quite anti-religion on some levels, but I still understand the energy and the positive manifestation within the music, if you understand. So for me, I will probably change the word Jesus or Christ to love, but I still understand the essence of that music is still pretty amazing.
Mhm.
So Janet Jackson was your Gaga. That was the thumb being chopped off was the punishment for listening to.
There you go. There's your punishment.
So when your family came out of the cult or came out of this particular experience, and you decided that you want to take music a little bit more seriously, were they supportive of that, or was it like, no, you're not doing that?
They never really had a say. Like I was, like I had always been in music. I've been writing since I was 7, and so I don't think like there was really another option for me. Okay. They just always were like, well, make sure you have a backup plan, or make sure you have like a college degree and stuff.
Kind of cool support, I guess.
Yeah, a little. It was like light support, and then I dropped out of college. And
were you living at home at this time?
Yes, I believe.
You weren't being exercised every Friday or anything.
Well, what?
You weren't being exercised every Friday or anything like that.
No.
Well,
this was after that era.
So this is a little bit more supportive, I guess.
Yeah, I was living at college. I decided it wasn't for me, and pandemic and all of that stuff. Then I decided to drop out and move to Los Angeles. So here I am.
You are now. So how's it going for you now? Like what made you go from an avid listener to taking your first steps of actually trying to move into the industry?
It was my experience at this studio in Philadelphia called Breed. And they operate out of Larry Gold's old studio where he did like Justin Timberlake and just a bunch of like, famous songs and artists and the sound of Motown and all that stuff that came out of Philly. But we did these like writing session things. It was weird. I was in a party circle at the time, met this guy through a party, and I was backstage and he was playing through some stuff and I was really nervous to talk to him. He invited me out once we did talk, he invited me out to his studio, and we started doing these like 12 to 17 hour long writing sessions. Wow. And they were for pitches for bigger artists. And while there was a few that got through that didn't end up getting released, but did end up getting recorded, and that was really cool with some major artists. But really what it taught me was like, I can really love like any other job that I would be asked to do for 12 hours sitting in a room, I wouldn't love. But the fact that I was sitting there and I was writing music and it was song after song after song after song, I was so happy,
That was the hit.
and I loved it, and I could have kept going for another 10 hours. And it
Wow.
was just like, it was very fun. And sometimes we did. Sometimes we slept on the couch, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of work, a lot of learning. I learned a lot about engineering and stuff like that, and we were always submitting to people out here. And so we were submitting to, you know, other writers with like Warner Chappell, or predominantly them, like, but EMI and all these other like publishing agencies. And I was like, why don't I just go out to where we're sending them and be the person that you send them to?
Yeah, absolutely. Were you not only writing them, but was you recording them? Was it you on the demo?
Some of them. Some of them. We had some demo vocalists that were in there. Usually it was other writers that we would pull. Kind of all the writers were also demo vocalists and also producers, or also engineers or whatever. I was a writer, demo vocalist, and engineer, but not really much on the production side. I learned a lot about that though. So now we're a little more on the production side. So
how did it become Kid Souf? I mean, how did you think, right, I'm taking the reins myself and I'm doing this?
Kid Souf came about during the pandemic.
Okay.
I had like dropped out of school and moved to South Philly, and it was like this night and day experience of like being fully independent for the first time in my life. And I was in a 7-Eleven and just kind of looked down and saw the candy bars, and I was like, oh, I could just buy that right now. I don't want to, but I could. And that was just like a weird thought. I wasn't under anyone else's thumb. I was just able to, I make my own money, I do my own thing. I can just do that. And it was like this like really freeing feeling. It's a simple, stupid example, but it felt really good. And so I found this like, you know, oh, if I want it, I get it. If I don't want it, then I don't get it. And I can just create this world with which I am happy. And that sounds stupid, but and really obvious, but it's not, especially with that background. I'm sure you can relate to that. And so that's where Kid Souf came from, is like, I found this childhood self of like, you know, I always wanted Barbie and not, you know, the other Ken or whatever. So I you know, had Barbies in my household. Why? I don't play with Barbies, but I wanted them when I was a kid, and I really always wanted them, and I never got them, but it was like a secret obsession of mine. So I had Barbies and like things like that, just that made me happy. And I found this, like, got to live out my childhood in South Philly, and that's where Kid Souf comes from.
That's amazing, man. No, I completely get that. I remember we didn't have much money. We weren't particularly religious, but we didn't have much money, you know, in you know, when I was younger. My mother would buy this little box of like small ice lollies that you could have like one every week. And I remember having my own job and living on my own, and I bought the box and I was like, well, I can only have one a week. And then I remember sitting and watch TV, and I was like, I really want another one, but I can't have another one. That's really greedy. And I thought, fucking can. So I bought it. The whole box of 12. I just sat there with like ice cream everywhere, and I was like, oh my god, that's like, I didn't realize that I can do things like this now. It was pretty amazing. So yeah, I kind of get how that feels. Really, it's kind of interesting, that realization that
I thought it was
as well, like, shit, I'm on my own now. Like,
exactly.
That's a little bit interesting.
I thought it was such an individualized like feeling or whatever, and each situation is individual, but I found that like the more I talk about it with people, they're all like, oh my god, I had that same feeling. And so it becomes like a little relatable too, which wasn't the intention of the name, but it is kind of nice.
Oh, sweet, man. So what are you doing musically at the moment?
I'm working on 2 EPs, one of which is scheduled to start rolling out in the spring, tentatively. And that's super exciting. I'm working with an amazing choreographer named Ian McKenzie. And so we're designing a lot of live shows and getting ready for all of that. I'm working on some movies out here, doing like scoring for that. Just being too busy.
Yeah, it sounds it. So are you a musician as well?
Yeah.
So what do you play?
I play piano, I play saxophone, and some percussion.
Oh my gosh, man, you really are a one-man show at the moment.
Thank you. I tried to do that for a while. I set up like a
Right?
loop pedal and I would
Engineer,
sit on
bit
a
of
cajon.
production, musician, artist.
Well, if you want to do anything in the industry, the more I learn about it, is like I came out like to the studio in Philly and was like, oh, I'm an amazing songwriter, and they were like, okay, and like, who cares? Everyone can write down lyrics. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And then it was just like this like fast paced process of you have to learn on the job quickly.
So are you managed, or are you kind of looking after yourself?
I'm just looking after myself right now.
That's kind of the best way to start, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and how are you? How is Kid Souf being received at the moment?
Pretty well. I think
Better than you
people out here
expected,
are
or
so polished. And that's a beautiful thing. I'm learning how to polish myself a little bit, but I'm still a little rough around the edges, and I'm still very East Coast. And in the United States, there's the East Coast and West Coast mentalities. The East Coast mentality is very like punk rock and like, you know, just throw some kids together in a basement and you've got yourself a show. And out here it's like, okay, well, you've got the choreo and you've got this and you've got that and you've got the amazing slick production, and it's a learning experience, sure. But I think the part that people are really interested in right now is that it's very different from what they're seeing, and that's cool.
And that's amazing,
especially in pop music when everything's kind of very similar.
And that's the feedback you're getting from people as well. It's something different.
Yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, I love your look, like, which is LA shade way of saying, what the fuck are you wearing?
No, I love it, man. That's super, super cool. So what is the future for Kid Souf?
The future is very social cause focused. I mean, it has been forever, but now it's like done in a little more direct way. I've always been really passionate about putting trans lives first in all of my productions. So everything that I've done in the past visually has always had like sort of the centerpiece around the messages, like these just like trans people existing. It's not really making a point out of it or trying to be like, you know, I'm doing trans stuff. It's not anything like that. It's just giving the opportunity and the space to have that be normalized and shown to people in front of their face in a normal way that they were not expecting necessarily to see, but end up enjoying thoroughly.
Yeah.
And so we're going in that direction a little bit more by doing these like queer history lessons without people knowing. Like I'm drawing a lot of influence right now from Tom of Finland, who is a very famous queer artist, a charcoal artist, and it's just like so weird to look like he came up in like the 40s and was really popular in like the 70s and such, when it was illegal to be gay or to practice sodomy. I guess that's what they called it back then.
Yeah.
And so like it was just these ridiculous things that people look back on now and say like, that's so crazy. I can't believe that was ever a thing. And so the goal with what we're doing right now is to make people say, that's so like, why that's like not even an issue to even think about anymore. Like that's so crazy, and say, well, it is. And it's just not with gay people, it's with trans people now. And there are laws that are in place in my country, at least. I don't know what the laws exist in the UK, but in America, there's a lot of laws that are changing on the opposite side of progression. Like, and so it's just like a wild world that we're living in. And I'd like to kind of make people say, that's so crazy that ever existed. And then say, well, it still exists, but with this group of people, hopefully in 50 years, we can say this about this group of people.
And I'm sure we'll be discriminating about some other group in 50, because we just seem to...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Always noticing that which is different rather than that which is the same, unfortunately.
And we're not perfect anywhere in, like, you know, there's still so many issues around race and gender and sexuality and any subset. Where there is a minority and a majority, there is always going to be some form of oppression, and kind of trying to minimize that and work towards progression is the focus of, should be everyone's focus.
I've seen a big change, even like, you know, when I was signed to a record deal back in the 90s, you know, and God forbid, even if you even sniff of homosexuality, you're going to be dropped because your fans are 13-year-old girls, Jaden.
Yep.
You know, so there is nothing, even my dogs are shouting about that. So there is like nothing that, you know, is going to be gay about you. And then, then all of a sudden, if you're not gay, it's kind of not trendy anymore. I was telling a friend about it the other day, but I was working with a guy here. I'm a pop singer turned classical crossover singer, and then I just am Jaden now, so I do what I want when I want, you know. And a friend of mine who lives here, amazing reggaeton artist and dembow artist, black guy, speaks in 1 minute. Wait, I'm talking to Kid Souf. We decided to do something together in English and Spanish, black and white, and also he will say, the black guy always gets the girl, but this time I kind of want you to get the boy. And I'm like, no, I can't do that, man. He's like, why not? I'm like, well, because it ruined my career. It's like, okay. And I kind of went home and I thought, you twat, what do you mean it ruined your career? What fucking career is going on? So it was always back to that kind of that brainwashing of the 90s where no, not even, you can't even look in the direction of a guy, let alone do anything. And I thought, of course I fucking can. I can easily do that. So I said, let's do it. It'll be really, really good. And I was really, I've been out forever, but it was really interesting on the release of the single and the video. I was shaking like a leaf because I knew that me kissing a dude in the Caribbean Sea is coming up in 1 minute and 32 seconds. And most bizarre because, I've been there with my partner or whatever, it just was the bizarrest feeling. And that little snippet of me kissing a guy got nearly 30,000 hits on TikTok. Me singing Pavarotti, bleeding Nessun Dorma, got 120. But me kissing a guy, and I was like, why didn't I do this years ago? Just
it's
my audience.
It's kind of cool that like when music kind of like got out of the hands of the labels and like the 6 old white men like that there were running the entire industry. As soon as it got out of that, suddenly, everyone's focusing on the issues that are at hand in the world because the world is the one in charge of who's making money in the industry now.
It's quite interesting. Those 6 white men who won't allow you to be gay would get you on the front page of a teenage magazine if they fucked you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I always said no, because luckily I was too insecure. So I thought I would never know if someone liked me because of my voice or because I put out. So actually, I can't ever do that. I would rather not make it than have that confusion and that insecurity over my career. So I never did casting couch once in my life. That was just, I'm not against it if someone feels that that's their way forward. But for me, I was too insecure to do that because I would never have known the real reason why I got that front page or why that person liked me or why I sold this amount of records. But quite interesting. Yeah, it's been a very, I think as humans, we're always going to point the fingers at that which is different and, not notice that, without noticing that every single individual person is completely and utterly different to the other one. And that's what makes the life so amazing. It's that, that whole melting pot of different experiences, different everything. That's what we should be. But we are a community. We are
absolutely,
don't be religious, but we are brothers and sisters. We are one race, the human race, and that's it, So, well, I love what you stand for. I love what you're doing. I think that is super, super cool. Where can people find you on social media?
Everywhere at Kid Souf. So it's the great name. It's the great thing about having a weird name.
Is that you're going to be the
Instagram,
first one on
TikTok,
Google.
Spotify, all of them.
Fantastic. And now you've got. Tell me about Party Favors.
Party Favors is my new EP. It dropped in November, and it's doing pretty well. I really like it. I'm so bad at promoting projects that already came out, which is what I should be doing. I'm like the next thing is this, but stay tuned. But go check that out for now. It's very much like the kind of whole concept for everything was I was in the party scene in Philly, and there's a lot of drama. Philadelphia is just a big enough city that it's got attention on it from labels and all different stuff like that. Like in the music industry, it's got attention on it, but it's still too small a city for there to be enough opportunity for a lot of people. Right. And so it's just intensely competitive, and even your friends will cut you at your knees just to make sure that they can be seen first. And so it's in the party scene extremely prevalent. People will be so nice to your face and bring you out of brand deals and things like that behind your back. And so, like, I was doing a lot of stuff in that world and was dating around and had a very long-term relationship that ended. And in the writing session came up with, "You left me scars like party favors." And then that became the theme for the whole EP.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And are you pleased with the outcome of it? Was it what you kind of, the vision that you had before?
I love that it's like, it's literally only 4 songs. And my producer for the EP, Max, he and I sat in the studio for so many hours and perfected every little tiny sound, every string that was in the whole thing. Like we were so involved in just making like perfect pop music. And it's really fun. It is very like perfect pop music. So if you don't like that, don't listen to it. But it's if you're obsessed with like 2010s like I am, if you're obsessed with the Britneys and all of that kind of stuff, that era of music, definitely listen to it. It's very pop and it's very fun.
Sweet. Amazing, man. Well, Kid Souf, thank you so much for being on my show. I really
thank you so much for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I appreciate the time you've taken. People at home, you've met him. You've listened to some of his music already. There, underneath this screen, are a multitude of places where you can find this person. So I suggest you make yourself a cup of tea, get back online and go and find Kid Souf everywhere on every social media platform, and go and check out Spotify, Apple, all the major download and streaming platforms as well. So you can be listening to this pop extravaganza. There I say it. Kid Souf. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much. Come back and talk to me when the next EPs are out. Let's have a chat about them because I'd like to hear more.
Sounds good.
You're a diamond, mate. You take care. Have a really great new week.
Have a good one.
See you later, mate. Bye-bye. What a lovely guy. Please go and support him on his social media platforms. Go and check out his music on his download platforms again. I'm very excited about shows, although very upset that I won't be able to get to them being a little bit south of the border. But if you're anywhere near some of his shows, I suggest you go and see them because it sounds like they're going to be bloody amazing. So go and support him on his social media. Go and say hi and go and follow his career. And then you can tell me what he's getting up to. That would be amazing. Kid Souf, thank you so much. You lovely people at home, thank you again for joining me on your Sunday. It's been wonderful to spend a bit of time with you and to introduce you to another incredibly talented person. I hope you'll come and find me on my social media platforms as well. And I hope you will subscribe to this channel and tell all your friends and everyone you know to do the same, because it's lovely to catch up with you on a Sunday. Have a wonderful new week. I'm not going to just disappear into nothing. We are going to hear another song from Kid Souf. We are going to watch another video. This is called Better as Friends. In the meantime, have a wonderful new week. Let it be an incredible one. And I will see you next Sunday on the Jaden Show. Stay beautiful. See you later.
We sleep in different bedrooms, I still hear you in the hall. You go to bed each evening just to see if he will call. And you wake up through the sunrise just to kiss him in the rain. I watch the sky turn from pink to black and you watch the other way. 'Cause we might be displaced and my heart could use replacing if it don't break before it bends. But I have too many dreams that are holding against me, and you enjoy when we pretend that we are friends. Oh, let's just talk about it. You could never love me, so you'd rather leave me lonely, 'cause we're better as friends. Oh, let's just think it over, 'cause love's a losing game if I lose you to another. I'm like an iceberg in the summer when it comes to loving you. I swallow away to pieces, you control my every move. I'd never thought it would be easy to see you love again, to hear you talk about it when you said we might be fast friends. Let's just talk about it. You could never love me, so you'd rather leave me lonely, 'cause we're fast friends. Let's just think it over, 'cause love's a losing game if I lose you to another.